teeth in a hunger shout.
A foreign king sees an army camped at his border, and he panics. And so he sends for the most powerful prophet in the ancient Near East, and he asks him to do one thing: curse Israel. So the prophet rides out on a donkey, and an angel with a drawn sword stands invisible in his path. And the donkey sees what the prophet cannot. So the donkey speaks, and the prophet finally sees and falls on his face. And then he climbs the high places of Baal 3 times. 3 times he opens his mouth to curse. 3 times only blessings come out. And then a 4th oracle, about a king he sees off in the distance, in some other century, about a star out of Jacob and a scepter from Israel. The Magi will follow that star to a manger in Bethlehem. And in 3 Nephi chapter 1, a new star will appear at the birth of Christ, even in the New World. The chapters are about whether God can be cursed out of his own promises. The answer is no. Welcome back to Come Listen With Me. I'm Ricky Black, aka Elder Eleazar, and today is our Friday, May 8th, 2026, reading for Numbers. We're going through chapters 22 through 24 in our ongoing Come Follow Me study of the Old Testament. It's a bigger section. It's 3 chapters today. It's the entire Balaam cycle. And the cycle ends with one of the most important messianic prophecies in the Old Testament: a star out of Jacob, a scepter from Israel, and the prophecy that the Magi follow to the birth of Christ. Now, before we read, let's give some acknowledgement to our Father in heaven and thank him for the angel in the path of every prophet who has ever tried to walk against the blessing. Thank him for the donkey who saw the prophet could not, and to thank him for the king who was already coming, the star already on the horizon when Israel was still encamped in the plains of Moab and didn't even know that they were being defended. And as we read, let's strive to recognize that the same God still defends his covenant people from the curses that they don't even see being launched against them. And let's try and approach today with reverence, with thanksgiving, and hearts open and learning, and do so with all in Jesus' name. Now, since we don't want to read just passively checking off boxes, and we want to read with intention here, a few questions and thoughts to keep our attention focused as we go through the scriptures today. So first, watch how Balaam answers Balak the first time, the second time, and the third time. So the progression here is very important, right? The man who is willing to start the journey is not the man who ends up finishing it. Also, the donkey sees the angel, and Balaam doesn't. So what is the text preaching about prophetic vision, right? It's a very strange passage here in the Pentateuch, and we want to pay attention to what it's trying to actually tell us. And finally, the 4th oracle in Numbers 24 is a climactic one. So pay attention to the shift in tense. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. So what does it mean that a foreign prophet hired to curse Israel ends up giving up one of the clearest messianic prophecies in the Old Testament? All right, with those questions in mind, let us go ahead and come listen together. All right, and we're going to begin here in chapter 22. I'm going to start off with the first 6 verses. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on the side Jordan by Jericho. And Balak the son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was sore afraid of the people, because they were many, and Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, Now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licketh up grass of the field. And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at the time. He sent messengers, therefore, unto Balaam the son of Beor to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that he whom thou blessed is blessed, and he whom thou cursed is cursed. So, Israel is encamped on the plains of Moab on the east side of Jordan, right? So it's just across from Jericho. And they've just, remember, they defeated Sihon and Og in the previous chapters. So the whole region knows exactly what they're capable of. And Balak, the king of Moab, he is, well, justifiably afraid. So he sends to Pethor, far up on the Euphrates, for Balaam, the son of Beor. Now, Balaam, he's not a minor figure. The text treats him as a known international authority, right? This is the go-to problem fixer, right? It says, "He whom thou blessest is blessed, and he whom thou cursest is cursed." Now, an archaeological inscription from Deir Allah, it's dated to about the 8th century BC. It even confirms his existence by name. So this isn't a fabrication or something that was created for this story. Like, he's a real person. And he was famous enough to be remembered for centuries by all sorts of people. So the princes of Moab and Midian, they go to him with the rewards of divination in their hands, right? They're ready to hire the right guy. We're going to continue on bigger section 7 through 21. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with rewards of divination in their hands. And they came unto Balaam, and spake unto him the words of Balak. And he said unto them, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. And the God said unto Balaam, and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Come now, curse me them, peradventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and said unto the prince of Balak, Get ye into your land, for the Lord refuseth to give me leave to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak, and said, Balaam refuseth to come with us. Balak said yet again, princes more and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, Thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, Let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. For I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people. And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Now therefore, I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And God came unto Balaam at the night and said unto him, If the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass and went to the princes of Moab. Big section here, right? So Balaam tells the princes to lodge with him for the night. Why? Because the Lord is going to come to answer him, right? And he answers him very clearly. Thou shalt not go with them, and thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. Now the Hebrew at the end is kibarakhu, right? Because they are blessed. It means that it's settled or it's been done, right? So the blessing is not a future possibility. It's a present reality that the Lord will not allow to be touched. I bless them. I give them promises. You will not break them. Now, Balaam, he relays the no, right? The first answer was right, and he should have been done. But Balak escalates, right? He sends the second embassy, more honorable, bigger rewards. Balaam gives a beautiful speech. If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God. So the covenant name, it's really in his mouth, right? He knows who God is. But then he asks again, and the Lord already said, right? The first answer is clear, but the Lord's second answer is one that's more important for the verses in the chapter, right? If the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet, the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do, right? So the Lord is letting Balaam have what he wants, but he's on a leash, right? And if we watch what happens next, right? And Balaam rose up in the morning, saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. So the text doesn't say that the men came to call him. Like, he preempted everything, right? He got up, he saddled everything before being summoned. He was ready to go because the Lord said, okay, you can go with them, but you're not going to do what they ask. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Go on to 22 to 35. And God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he is riding upon his ass, and his two servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. But the angel of the Lord stood in the path of the vineyards, a wall being on the side, and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself onto the wall, and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and smote her again. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where it was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, What have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? And Balaam said unto the ass, Because thou hast mocked me. I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now I would kill thee. And the ass said unto Balaam, Am I not thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, Nay. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down his head, and he fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, but the way is perverse before me. And the ass saw me, and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee, and saved her alive. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displeaseth thee, I will get me back again. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. All right. So again, this is probably the strangest and yet one of the most famous scenes in the Pentateuch, right? The talking donkey. It said God's anger was kindled because he went. So the very next sentence after permission, right? The permission was yielding to Balaam's pressure, not really an endorsement of his motives, right? The angel of the Lord stands in the way as an adversary. Again, Hebrew here is actually la satan, right? It's standing as an adversary. So the donkey, he sees the angel, and Balaam doesn't. So 3 times he turns aside, 3 times he beats her. Until she finally lies down under him, right? That's when the Lord opens her mouth. What have I done to thee? Thou shalt smite me these 3 times. Now, Balaam isn't even surprised that the donkey's talking. That's probably the part that's weird here, right? Like, we can understand the Lord made a donkey talk, but the fact that Balaam doesn't second guess it. He just answers her. I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now I would kill thee. Yeah, he doesn't know that there is a sword, right? The angel is holding it, but Balaam can't see it. That's when the Lord opens Balaam's eyes. He sees the angel with the sword. He falls flat on his face, and the angel says the line that is the defining part of the chapter. The ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee and saved her alive. So yeah, the donkey actually saved his life, and he almost killed her for it. The seer hired for his eyes couldn't see the angel, and the dumb beast he was riding actually could. So what's the text doing here, right? Well, it's teaching us that prophetic vision is not a function of an office. It is still a functioning of the Lord choosing to open eyes and when he decides to do that. And sometimes the people that we are tempted to dismiss are the ones who can see what we cannot, right? Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So again, permission, God's reminding him kind of who's in charge, and that, he does things because he wants. And the leash is tightened a little bit more, and Balaam is allowed to go. All right, we're going to do 36 to 41 now. And when Balak heard that Balaam was gone, he went out to meet him unto a city of Moab, which is in the border of Arnon, which is the utmost coast. And Balak said unto Balaam, Did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore camest thou not unto me? Am I not able indeed to promote thee to honor? And Balaam said unto Balak, Lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God putteth in my mouth, that shall I speak. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came unto Kirjath Huzoth. And Balak offered oxen and sheep, and was sent to Balaam and to the princes that were with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam, and brought him up into the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the utmost part of the people. Okay. So Balak meets Balaam at the border, and Balaam answers him with the line that runs through the whole cycle. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word of God that putteth in my mouth, that I shall speak, right? We're going to see that, the refrain or that idea over and over again. So this whole transformation is already underway, right? The man who saddled up early and eagerly, right, is now telling Balak that he has no agency at all in his words, right? He can only do what God tells him. And they do go up to the high places of Baal, where Balaam can see the camp of Israel. So already, again, things are shifting. All right, we're going to continue on chapter 23 now. We're going to do verses 1 through 26. And Balaam said unto Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 oxen and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered on every altar a bullock and a ram. And Balaam said unto Balak, Stand by thy burnt offering, and I will go. Peradventure the Lord will come to meet me, and whatsoever he showeth me, I will tell thee. And he went to an high place. And God met Balaam, and said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered upon every altar a bullock and a ram. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth, and said, Return unto Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. And he returned unto him, and lo, he stood by his burnt sacrifice, he and all the princes of Moab. And he took up his parable, and said, Balak, the king of Moab, hath brought me from Aram, out of the mountains of the east, saying, Come, curse me Jacob, and come defy Israel. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, and the numbers of his 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let me my last end be like his. And Balak said unto Balaam, What hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. And he answered and said, Must I not take heed to speak that which the Lord hath put in my mouth? And Balak said unto him, Come, I pray thee, with me unto the another place, from whence thou mayest see them. Thou shalt see but the utmost part of them, and shalt not see them all, and curse me them from thence. And he brought him into the field of Zophim, to the top of Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bullock and a ram on every altar. And he said unto Balak, Stand here by the burnt offering, while I meet the Lord yonder. And the Lord met Balaam, and put a word in his mouth, and said, Go again unto Balak, and say thus. And when he came to him, behold, he stood by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab were with him. And Balak said unto him, What hath the Lord spoken? And he took his parable, and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear. Hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor. God is not a man, that he should lie, neither the Son of Man, that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it. He hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob, neither hath he seen perverseness in Israel. The Lord his God is with him, and thou shout of a king is among them. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, and neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and Israel, What hath God wrought? Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, and lift up himself as a young lion. He shall not lie down until he eat of the prey, and drink the blood of the slain. And Balak said unto Balaam, Neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam answered and said unto Balak, Told not I thee, saying, All that the Lord speaketh, that I must do? So Balaam asks for 7 altars, 7 bullocks, 7 rams. Again, these are all sacred numbers, right? And they do a very meticulous setup. Everything is being done by the book of pagan divinations. And the Lord meets him and puts a word in his mouth. He returns prophecies. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? Right? I think there's something kind of important here, right? I think we tend to think of things like priesthood power and authority as the ability to kind of, wish cast. But that's not the case, right? The whole point that we're seeing here is that you do what God asks, and then when you ask for words in your mouth or you ask for things, like he'll tell you what it's going to be, right? There's no sort of magic ritual here to get what you want. There's only standing before God, offering sacrifice, and then asking what he will do. That's all you can do. And we see that, right? The first oracle is refusal. He describes Israel as a people dwelling alone, the dust of Jacob, too vast in number. And then the line, you could probably mark in your scriptures here, let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. So a man who has been hired to curse Israel ends up envying their death, right? And of course Balak is furious. I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. So they're going to try again. New location, different angle, and 7 altars, 7 bullocks, 7 rams again. Balaam returns with the second oracle, and it's even stronger than the first. God is not a man that he should lie, neither is the man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? That's verse 19, right? And one of the great theological statements about the unchanging nature of God in the Old Testament is just right there. And then, of course, the declaration that closes that second oracle, surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. So he's just saying it plainly. Look, magic, sorcery, it's not going to work on these covenant people, period. Because there's a higher authority that's above them, which means you can't touch them. So this is where Balak's getting desperate, right? Neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. So he begs in verse 25 for that, right? He's now just hoping for silence, right? Like, okay, well, if you're not going to curse them, don't give them blessings. And Balaam, his only response is, hey, man, I told you, like, I can only say what the Lord speaks. That's what it means to be in my role. All right, let's continue on. We're going to do, starting verse 27, we're actually going to go into chapter 24, verse 9. So here we go. And Balak said unto Balaam, Come, I pray thee, I will bring thee unto another place. Peradventure it will please God that thou mayest curse me them from hence. And Balak brought Balaam unto the top of Peor, that looketh towards Jeshimon. And Balaam said unto Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me 7 bullocks and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had said, and offered a bullock and a ram on every altar. Continue on here in chapter 24. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not, as at the other times, to seek for enchantments, but he set his face towards the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. And he took up his parable, and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said. He hath said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. And the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the riverside, as the trees of ligand aloes, which the Lord hath planted, and the cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with arrows. He couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion. Who shall stir him up? Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. So Balak takes Balaam to that third location, the top of Peor, looking down over the wilderness. It's the same 7 altars, 7 bullocks, 7 rams, but here's where things change, right there in chapter 1. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments, but he set his face towards the wilderness. So he stops doing divinations. He stops messing around with all this magic and sorcery, right? No more pagan rituals. He just turns and looks at Israel directly, and the Spirit of God finally comes upon him. So this foreign prophet has stopped trying to manipulate the outcome, and he accepted that the Lord will do what the Lord will do, right? And the moment he accepts that, the Spirit comes upon him in a way that it hasn't before. He has stopped being a hired hand, and he's become momentarily a real prophet, right? And that right there, it's the third oracle, opens with that self-description. The man whose eyes are open hath said. So his eyes are open now. It's the same eyes that couldn't see an angel 2 chapters ago. And he's also prophesying of Israel using imagery of Eden, right? That's really important there. As gardens by the riverside, as the tree ligand aloes which the Lord hath planted, and as cedar trees besides the waters. And verse 9 closes with the language of Genesis 12. It's applied directly to Balak. Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. And that's the Abrahamic covenant. So Balak hired Balaam to curse Israel, but Balaam has just said, yeah, anyone who curses Israel is going to be cursed. So Balak is kind of hearing his own future here, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to continue on here in verses 10 through 14. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast altogether blessed them 3 times. Therefore now flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor, but lo, the Lord hath kept thee back from honor. And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to thy messengers, which thou sentest unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do either good or bad of my own mind. But what the Lord saith, that will I speak. And now behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. Okay. So yeah, Balak's not happy. He just explodes. Flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor. But lo, the Lord hath kept thee back from honor. Like, isn't that kind of a really, like, serpent in the garden thing to say? Like surely not. You won't die if you eat that fruit. Like, what's the Lord holding you back from? Right? You've made your demands of God, right? God's a gumball machine. You ask, he gives you what you want, right? And he's the one holding you back. It's such a terrible thing. But what do you expect? But at least, yeah. At least Balaam sees, right? So Balak has just fired him. He sends him home unpaid. But Balaam, he's not really done. He has one more oracle in him. I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. So latter days here, right? Becharit ha-yamim. It's actually messianic vocabulary. He's about to prophesy something that reaches into the distant future. So let's check it out in 15 through 19. And he took his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, that the man whose eyes are open hath said, He hath said, which heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the visions of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. And out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth in the city. Yep. So that fourth oracle, it opens like the third. The man whose eyes are open, who heard the words of God, who saw the visions of the Almighty. Right. He's definitely been converted now. And he says, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Yeah. So Balaam is seeing somebody specific, right? I shall behold him, but not nigh. So he's far in the future, centuries away. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. So the star is the king, the scepter is the rule. Both come out of Jacob. Now, by the Second Temple period, this verse was understood as messianic in both Jewish and Christian readings, right? The Damascus document at Qumran, it cites it directly. So Jewish tradition still expects the star as a messianic figure. Now, Christian readers have always read it as one of the clearest forecasts of Christ in the Pentateuch. I mean, after all, the Magi, they follow a star to Bethlehem, right? And the star that they follow is this star. So they're following Balaam's prophecy 1,400 years later. And in 3 Nephi 1, when Christ is born, a new star appears in the New World too, like both at the same moment, both fulfilling Numbers 24:17. So a foreign prophet on the wrong side of the moral ledger, hired by an enemy king, looking down on Israel from a pagan high place. Yeah, and out of his mouth comes the Star of Bethlehem. So there's something to be pondered about that, what that means, right? Let's continue on here. And we looked at Amalek. He took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. And he looked on the Canaanites and took up his parable and said, Strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Nevertheless, the Canaanites shall be wasted away, until Asher shall carry thee away captive. And he took up his parable and he said, Alas, who shall live when God doeth this? And ships shall come from the coast of Shittim, and shall afflict Asher, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up, and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way. Okay, so final oracles, right? Balaam, he adds those short oracles about the Amalek, the Kenites, and the ships of Shittim. And then he just rises up and he goes. He returns to his place. He's done, right? Balak also goes his way. So the Balaam cycle ends here. And we will see Balaam mentioned again in chapter 31. He's going to be named as the man who counseled Moab to seduce Israel into the Baal of Peor incident. So his final story it's actually not redemptive, right? So the lesson that the New Testament draws from him is actually it's in 2 Peter, it's in Jude, and in Revelation, right? It's the danger of the prophet for hire, right? But for those 3 chapters, while the leash was on him, he could not do anything but bless. So the covenant was untouchable, the star was promised, and the king was coming, no matter what this paganistic sorcerer wanted to do. All right. That's all of our reading for today. So yeah, it's quite a bit more than usual, 3 chapters, but it's one big cycle together, right? Balak, king of Moab, fears Israel, sends to Pethor for Balaam to curse them. Twice the Lord answers. The first time, no. The second time, you may go, but say only what I tell you. The angel of the Lord stands in Balaam's path with a drawn sword. The donkey sees, Balaam doesn't. The donkey speaks, Balaam falls on his face. Now 3 times Balaam takes him to a high place to curse Israel, and 3 times only blessings come out of his mouth. And then the 4th oracle prophecies thereof the star out of Jacob and the scepter of Israel. So Balaam returns home after he's given one of the most important messianic prophecies. And the covenant continues untouched. So what does it all mean? Well, there are 2 things that the chapters are really doing. First, the Balaam cycle is a doctrine of the inviolability of the blessing, right? So Balak does everything right by the rules of pagan divination and sorcery and magic and all that, right? The right altars, the right number, the right priests, the right locations. And yet nothing works because the blessing of God is not some magical force that can be reversed by some other magical force. It is the word of a covenant-keeping God who is almighty and supreme and omnipotent in the universe. And it cannot be unsaid by anything in the whole scriptural ecology of the world. Like no one can override it because they don't have that power and authority. It's his. And they are blessed because they're blessed. Second, the 4th oracle is one of the clearest messianic prophecies in the entire Old Testament. And it comes from the most unlikely mouth. It's a foreign prophet hired to curse, right? So the doctrine here is that the Lord will accomplish his purposes through whatever instrument he chooses. Even instruments that are otherwise faithless, if not antagonistic to the Lord's people. So Balaam himself is not redeemed by this prophecy. But the prophecy doesn't matter, it's still real. The star came, the scepter has risen, and the king is at the door. All right, so what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways from today's reading? Let me know down in the comments. Let's keep the discussion going, right? But here are a few of my personal takeaways. Let me know if I'm crazy or not, or off base. The first is comfort, right? So there are people right now who would curse you if they could. And curses you don't see, conversations that you're not a part of, whispers being launched against you. You know, all this work, or your family name, or whatever, right? Anything against you. Well, Numbers 23 through 24 says it doesn't matter. The covenant of God on a faithful disciple is untouchable. Like the Lord stands in a path with a drawn sword and turns curses into blessings before it ever reaches you, right? Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob. So live in the certainty of that blessing, right? The cursing parties are just wasting their time because the Lord has you. And the second takeaway for me is, well, it's a warning, right? Go from comfort to warning. Balaam started out right and ended wrong. Like he gave 4 true prophecies and then sold the destruction of Israel to Moab through corruption rather than curses, right? So a person can speak God's words and still be lost. A person can witness the angel and still walk away. So the question these chapters leave you with is this. The truth you have spoken, are you living it or are you selling it, right? It's an important answer, and it's more than just eloquence, right? So again, think about that, right? Are you really living your covenants here? Now let me know what you think about my thoughts. Again, tell me if you have other takeaways. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I learned so much when people chat with me and send this out across the different platforms. Anyway, tomorrow we're going to close out the reading of Numbers with chapter 27. It's going to be about the 5 sisters, Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they're going to bring up question to Moses, right? Their father died without sons. By law, they can't inherit. But they're just going to ask anyway. In the law of Israel, it's literally rewritten because they asked. And that's where we're going to end up closing the week tomorrow. Now, if you want to go deeper into today's topic, the deep dive for day 5 is the star out of Jacob, Balaam's fourth oracle, and the Messiah. So we trace numbers 24:17 through the whole Second Temple expectation, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Magi at Bethlehem, and the new star at Christ's birth in 3 Nephi 1. Has full notes, citations, and discussion questions to help you think more about it. But it's also a really great resource. So if you're a Sunday school teacher, go ahead and go check it out. Go download it. Might help you build some content for your lesson. Again, the links are all in the description. And the week's song is Rebel Not Neither Fear. Now, the bridge of the song is actually built right around to today's reading, right? So the road at night and the sword unseen, the donkey kneeling, the curse turned to him, the star and the scepter. That's what that whole the bridge section is all about. So it's available on YouTube and as an MP3 download. Again, links are all in the description. Go check it out. Listen to the bridge sections and see how it really ties together today. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. See you back here tomorrow. And until then, as always, I appreciate you all and thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time to come listen with me.
Pulse in the desert, thunder in